birthday. In here, his last win was 1987 in Buffalo. Last TV was 1988, where he was third in Indy. Traber.
David Traber, who's had a hot hand this year with a win, a second place. He's got a victory already today. Has never, ever played against a player like Roth. Here on the opening frame on what we know is a little more difficult lane, the left-hand lane. He hits high and leaves the 3-6 spare.
Now from Wall Township, New Jersey, U.S. Open champion in 1984, Mark Roth. Mixing it up, Nelson.
Like he's never left the scene, partner. 7 years since he's thrown a ball in a championship round, and I'll tell you what, one of the most feared men ever to step on the lanes. He won so many titles, Chris, I believe, by just the other players messing up. And I don't know if Traber feels it, but if Roth starts with an opening double, look out, Dave Traber. Here we go. Key shot, actually, for Roth in the early going.
Here's a third seat in Buffalo. Made something out of it, too. All right.
Just patented Mark Roth strikes to start off. Just saws the rack, both the first and second frames. Let's see how Traber reacts.
Very positively. All right, once again to Mike Albee.
Thanks, Chris. Mike, you're a very versatile player. You used your thumb all week. You went thumbless today. How come?
Well, I just didn't like what I had. The other way, I felt more comfortable with my thumb out. So, you know, just whatever I feel most confident with, that's what I'm going to do.
He's one of the most versatile players we got, Chris.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, guys.
And that's the name of the game today, Chris. If you look at the top players, Duke, Walter Ray, Miller, versatility.
Boy, what response by David Traber. He's going against the Hall of Famer Mark Roth, who's back up and ready. There's a three-bagger for Mark Roth. One of the millionaires, three of them in this field today. And there you get a good look at the leader, Pete Weber, Holman, then Albee, our sideline interviewer today, Walter Ray, who's our tournament leader, then Mark Roth, number 5.
A lot of that money made back in the late 60s and early 70s spent pretty well. That $1.4 million is probably about 2.8. Extrapolate a few numbers in there. Roth perfect through 3 frames. See if he can get it 4 in a row.
In the field. We're in Markham, Ontario, suburb of colorful Toronto. And here is the province of Ontario's Parliament. Standing room only crowd at the Club 300 Bowl. David Traber put together 3 in a row, and he better, because his opponent, the Hall of Famer Mark Roth, has 4 in a row. This our second game. Traber getting into it by defeating Mike Miller 236-215.
Traber with one of the interesting statistics in championship round play. In his 12 championship rounds, he's either won the tournament or was defeated by the tournament winner. Pretty interesting. Think about that. 12 times he either won the tournament or the man that defeated him won the tournament. Right now he can even this match up, 5th frame.
A 7. And Brian Voss is warming up off to our right.
A little bit too much speed right here from David Traber as the 5-pin just has the action over behind the 7. Headpin takes it out, doesn't give it a chance to happen.
David Traber, a very, very cool performer. Roth, 5th frame, 4 in a row.
Always had hand trouble, patches it up, spreads the index finger, cocks the wrist. Things haven't changed in 20 years. Still one of the best.
5 in a row. How about that, Mike Albee?
And great shots by Mark. Brian Voss here with me. Brian, 94 Japan Cup winner. I haven't made the top 24, let alone the top 5 until now. Where you been?
Well, I suffered a herniated disc at the last summer, and that was like a 4 or 5 month setback. I not only lost a lot of practice, but I wasn't in competition. When you start doing that, you lose confidence. But it's been a good week.
He's pulling real well, up and down week for him, but he finished strong. I think he's going to carry it into today.
Okay. Here's a man who's quickly regaining his confidence if it was ever lost. Mark Roth.
I know there are a lot of people, television audience, and those here that were hoping for 12 in a row.
Here's Roth. Watch the great arm swing. Inside out swing, wrist behind the ball. Solid 10. After starting with 5 in a row. Roth missed a 10-pin last about 1967.
Good line, Nelson.
Dick Weber and Mark Roth, best 2 spare and split shooters I've ever seen. Here we go. Traber still in the match, trails by 20, spare up 5th frame. Coming up in the 6th on the right-hand lane, the better of the 2.
Disappointment leaving the 10 on the right. Incidentally, Mike Albee finished 7th in this championship. John Mazza, 6th. Winner to meet Brian Voss and then win the semifinal to go against Walter Ray Williams Jr. Sparkling field. Seventh frame strike for David Traber, who won the first match over Mike Miller, 236 to 215. We will return to Ontario. Our tournament leader continues to stay loose. Walter Ray Williams Jr., president of the PBA, 15 titles. Our field with a total of 66 today, 33 of them by this man.
Mock leads by 21, 7th frame. He started with 5 strikes in a row and left a solid 10 in the 6th.
Two.
Not so bad. When you can throw an errant shot and get away with a fairly easy spare, you're in the driver's seat. He sends it wide, perceivably wider than the other shots he had on this right-hand lane. Almost leaves the 2-8, the good pin action, and gets away with an easy spare. The man I said is one of the best spare shooters of all time will hit them right in the face.
Unquestionably, the #1 New York Rangers fan. Was he happy with that World Championship?
Roth with a lot of records, 33 titles. Anthony has the most at 41. But I think is probably the most impressive thing about Mark Roth is that one time he had 51 consecutive cashes on the tour, missed by 2 pins the next tournament, and then went 20 more. So by 2 pins, he avoided cashing in 72 consecutive pro tournaments. That's over 2 years.
Jackie and Mark, parents to a lovely 12-year-old daughter named Stephanie, who has all her buddies over, watching Dad bowl against David Traber.
There's Irene Teisel, who has been so wonderful with the Independent Order of Foresters, the Public Relations Director. Has helped build this into a wonderful tournament as we see Traber up in the 8th frame key shot.
And with that double, separates them now by only 10 pins.
It's up for grabs. Let's take it off the sheet for both players. Traber, possible 258. Mock Roth, 268. Big numbers. It's who can strike in the last two frames. Dave Traber's wife, Melissa, who travels with him in a motorhome out here on the tour, rooting for this shot. This is the big one in the match. Put some pressure on Roth.
And again, a 10-pin on the left lane.
Dave Traber's main weapon in his arsenal is speed and speed control. On the 2 10-pins he's left on the left-hand lane, he just threw the ball a little bit too hard, didn't finish enough to carry.
All right. 187 through 8, pair up in the 9th, and Mark Roth now with a strike in the 8th, shooting in the 9th.
Always been a good closer, and this is where he needs his big shot in the 9th frame. He can avoid any pressure in the 10th with a strike here.
Mark Roth strike.
Typical Mark Roth strike. I used to say it years ago. He said, if I hit one light in a key shot, in a key spot today, Bo, say this: feathers to 5, splices to 6, saws to 7, tomahawks to 10, and nothing left but pin shrapnel. And that's what he did there as he comes up in the 10th frame, needing just his first name to win the match, A. Mark.
Again at 2.
Looks at the scoreboard. Spare Mark will be in the 240s. It'll shut out David Traber. Mark, who uses very tight finger holes, a very tight thumb hole, has always had hand trouble, but that lets him hold the ball very loose and allows him to perform in the pressure with a good wrist action. Only needs to knock over this single pin to win the match and go on to meet Brian Boss in the semifinal. Okay, just stay behind the foul line.
Really covered it. All of it.
Needs one pin.
What are the odds on that, though?
Of him getting one is very difficult, Chris. If getting more than one, the odds are very good.
You got it.
One pin, I don't believe he'll get one. I'm going to say minimum 8.
Left lane.
And make sure to stay behind the foul line. Synthetic lanes this week. Every once in a while, you have to watch the approaches.
He got the 10th. Or he got the left lane, rather. 247. Big victory for Mark Roth. Disappointing loss for David Traber, who won the first match 236 to Mike Miller's 215.
An experience for Traber. He bowled well.
Yes, he did. And continues to.
Traber might be able to hold this game.
So it'll be 10,000.
Traber. Be in the 230s.
Okay. From now on, it's nothing but Hall of Famers. Mark Roth, Brian Voss, Walter Ray Williams Jr. will be inducted Monday in Chicago. Okay, the Choice Hotels tip of the week.